at the electronic flight bag for this mission. All right, so there's Four Corners Regional, and they want us to climb to 28,000, but I'm going to set this for 17,000, which should be enough to clear the mountains. And then I don't have to worry about pressurization above 20,000 with this aircraft that we're going to use. All right, so scroll down here and we can see it's a RNAV 3 direct approach. So what I did is create that flight in little nav map, which is not too hard to do. If you're familiar with little nav map, what it does is it gives you an idea of your elevations. So you can, and it also shows you your RNAV approach altitude here, which is 2,600. So I can scroll in and out on that. So there's our flight. Let's go back to, everything looks good. The approach doesn't look too bad for this. Let me just take a look at it here. Okay, there's runway 3. Okay, so it looks like a nice approach. We don't need to add any waypoints, and you could do that right here if you wanted to. But this is going to be far enough out that when we come in, we should be able to pick up the glide path on the RNAV approach. So let's see how we make out. There's our altitudes right there. All right, so we need to send that. I've changed this, so we need to send that to the ATC and avionics. So this is a VIP charter flight, and the payout shouldn't be too bad on this. I picked one that has a fairly high payout, and if we run into some bad weather, it'll even be better. So let's accept the mission. After that's set up, now here's our Pilatus PC-12 NGX, which is probably one of the best planes to fly in Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 career mode, because it literally doesn't have any bugs that'll give you an issue. So to transfer that plane where it is now to Four Corners Regional, I have to pay 12,600 credits. So I'm going to transfer it. It was nearby anyway, so it wasn't too crazy. Now we're going to manage the aircraft, and it's dirty, so I wash every time, because you will get customer complaints if you don't wash it, if the plane's dirty, because this is a VIP charter. They expect the very best. Now you can do an update. I think the plane's in good shape, but I can pay 55,000 credits, and okay, the landing gear needs to be maintained. So that's 91,000 credits. So I'll pay that out, and we need a fuel. So we need to manage the fuel, and basically you can just add it by using this little arrow, and then you have to pay for it, 18,000 credits. Okay, so that's done, and I think we refueled it. Okay, we'll go back to the aircraft again, and here we are standing, getting ready, checking our electronic flight brief, I guess. There is the mission criteria XP points credits, so it's going to be a nice payout. The contract is for 3 million. And I'm flying this in career mode, so not freelance, so should be a good payout. Let's hit fly. So the resource usage exceeds GPU memory, comes up a lot, but it doesn't seem to affect anything. So I'm just leaving my settings the way they are. Alt Q will remove your chocks, etc. and Shift C will get you started in the aircraft or just outside of it. Yeah, sometimes you're outside, sometimes you're inside. So now we can request boarding.
We'll begin boarding on your signal. NPV 45, parking 72 for ground service. Ready to embark passengers.
Okay, it said passengers. So only one person you ever see come on these flights.
Any chance we could speed up the flight, Captain?
Yes.
I've got an important thing in Wantage waiting for me. Thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, we can speed it up as fast as we can. Don't worry about it. We always try our very best at NASAir. Okay, I'm gonna wait for the engine to start up. If you want to know how many passengers are on board, you can find out by clicking on the airplane here. Go to flight performances and then click on this little weight symbol, and there's seats is lit up right now. Let's see how many people we got. Okay, we got 3 passengers. They only weigh 140 pounds each, little guys. Okay, maybe his family is with him or friends. Let's go back to the flight plan. Okay. So to get started here, I'm going to go Shift 5 on the keyboard and turn on taxi lights and landing lights and the pulse and no smoking and seat belts. I'm also going to turn these on. You don't have to turn them all on, but you should turn on the strobe and these two because they're going to ask you for that. So I'm going to go Shift 3 and I'm going to turn on the PTOT right here, PTOT, and this is the inert set. That has to be on for takeoff. Okay, so if you hit normal there before takeoff, it'll tell you what you got to do. Flaps have to be set, so we can set those now. This plane tends to taxi quickly, so with the flaps down, it might help a bit. I got them down to 15, so I can click on that. Flight controls, you can go outside and just make sure everything looks good, which it does. Click that, inert set, landing lights are on, and the strobe. So that's done. After takeoff, this is what we're going to do. Okay, so let's go Shift 1 and put the terrain on for your primary flight display. So there's your speed tape, and there's your altitude, and comma on your keyboard will set this, but it's probably already set. Yeah, it didn't change. Okay, so it usually starts out set for you. So this is an RNAV, so we don't have to worry about the nav frequency, but if you did, that's how you do it. You just click there and use these buttons to scroll and change it, and then you'd hit swap to make it deactive. But we're not flying an ILS approach on this one, so we're going to request IFR clearance here. Next thing I'm going to do is go Shift 6.
Robin 438, November Papa, Victor 45, ready to copy IFR clearance. Kilo Foxtrot, Whiskey November.
Climb and maintain 17,000. Departure frequency is 118.575, squawk 6636.
Okay, the co-pilot will take care of setting the comm frequencies. I just have to acknowledge that.
Cleared to Kilo Foxtrot, Whiskey November, as filed, runway 5. Climb and maintain 17,000. Departure frequency is 118.575, squawk 6636. Robin 438, November Papa, Victor 45.
So here's your flight management
Robin
dials.
438, November Papa, Victor 45, read back correct. Contact ground on 121.7. Good day.
Hi team, ready to leave for Wantage? I see you're already getting everything prepped for our passenger, Mr. McLaughlin. We expect all of you to provide him with the best of service. I know I can count on you. Have a good flight, Captain.
Okay, request taxi.
Farmington ground, Robin 438, November Papa, Victor 45, with India, ready to taxi, IFR.
Robin 438, November Papa, Victor 45, taxi to and hold short of runway 5 using taxiway Bravo. Contact tower on 118.9er when ready.
Okay. We're just going to acknowledge that one. We've got a few
Taxiing,
more
hold
things to
short
do.
runway 5 using taxiway Bravo. Robin 438, November Papa Victor 45.
So, let me just move that over there. This would set your barrel, and also here. And if you just right click on that, if you get above 19,000 feet altitude, if you right click on that, it'll go to standard barrel, and then click on it again, it'll go back to normal, and your comma on your keyboard. So during these flights, it's a good idea to hit comma a few times, especially if you cancel your IFR, just so you know you're at the right barometric pressure setting. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is set this to your altitude gauge to 17,000. All right, and I'm going to use vertical speed mode, because what I want to do is switch this over to manual, and also I want to set this to 2,000 feet per minute, which is a pretty good climb rate for this. And I use the FLC basically for descending, because sometimes it will shut off, especially if you're in your manual mode when you're climbing on takeoff. So I've decided just to use ES. It seems to work better. So we can set nav, and we can set the heading if we want. Now the heading over here is 63. So we can set that on 63. You can grab it and scroll. You can get there a little quicker. Okay, let's set that to 63, which is what was on the primary flight display right there. Just below FMS. Okay, so that's a heading we set there, and we'll look after things when we take off. So the next thing we want to do, this is set up, is check the shift to your flight plan. Okay, so our altitude is 17,000. If you click on there, you can use your keyboard on this little symbol here. 17,000. Press enter, and there's your V speeds. You can send that to your primary flight display just by clicking on that. And then for landing, same thing. Your V speeds. And let's take a look at the flight plan. See if there's any discontinuities. There's usually always at least one. And you can delete those if you want, or then you'd have to fly manually to this waypoint. But if you just click on that, you can delete it, and you can activate that deletion. And let's have a look at the flight plan now. And now you won't have to do that. It will just fly to the next waypoint. So there's the runway, there's your altitudes. So we can go back to the beginning. Everything looks pretty good here. For weather, you want to know what your weather's like, you click on that. Right now, there, it sometimes does want to activate for some reason. Not really sure why. This will send you your waypoints. Okay, so let me back off here. Click on that again. Yeah, okay. So now we got the weather. We'll see if we're running into any bad weather during the flight. All right, I'm going to go shift spacebar to get this view, and then backspace to see outside. So now all we have to do is release our parking brake and go to our hold short point. Okay, there's where we have to go. Now just be careful you don't get into overspeed with this plane. It does taxi fairly fast, and you can't go over 30 knots or you're going to get a penalty and lose credits for your flight. So I'm going to brake braking now, just gently to slow his plane down. Keep it under 20. Just pull up here and stop and wait for instructions in your mission box. Okay, we're going to request takeoff.
Farmington Tower, Robin 438, November Papa, Victor 45, ready for IFR departure, runway 5.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 5.
Okay, got to acknowledge that, I think, yeah.
Cleared for takeoff, runway
And
5.
then we have to let
Robin
the passengers
438,
know.
November Papa, Victor
Our
45.
paying passengers. We're forking out big bucks for this flight.
Dear passengers, this is First Officer Lynch speaking. Estimated flight time to Wantage is 5 hours, 27 minutes. We remind you to keep your seatbelt fastened. Thank you for your attention, and let's have a great flight.
Alright, we can enter the runway now. Okay, runway 5. Okay, I'm just going to go inside for a second and do one more thing. I'm going to turn on the half bank button. It may help with these VIP flights because then the plane doesn't bank too aggressively and cause discomfort for your clients, and then they give you a bad score at the end of the flight. So that probably helped. Alright, let's go outside again. I'm going to release the parking brake or else it won't take off. You'll get a no takeoff. Here we go. Everything looks good, flaps. So we're going to go back inside and give it full throttle and wait for the co-pilot to call or rotate.
Rotate.
So that's around 80 knots you're rotating. Take you outside and we are going to bring up the landing gear. Okay, we're at a fairly good rate of climb here, so I'm going to bring up the flaps. So I've got buttons on my joystick.
Robin 438, November Papa Victor, 45 contact center on 118.575.
So I'm pitching
Good
up
day.
a little too high there. Okay, we got to deal with ATC.
118.575 for Robin 438, November Papa, Victor 45.
Okay, I'm going to hit
Center,
autopilot
Robin
now.
438, November Papa, Victor 45 is passing 6,500 climbing, 17,000.
Okay. I'm going to cancel the IFR right now.
Center, Robin 438, November Papa, Victor 45 would like to cancel IFR.
IFR flight plan is canceled. Radar service terminated. Squawk 1200. Maintain VFR. Frequency change approved. Good day.
Okay, I canceled the IFR, which doesn't hurt your flight or your score at all, but you won't have to deal with ATC throughout because if you accelerate to a higher sim rate, you won't be able to keep up with ATC communications and you'll lose credits for lack of communicating with them. So you can just turn them off until you get close to the destination airport, and then you're going to be contacting them again. So I'm just going to hit the barometric pressure climb up key again, just to make sure I'm okay there. The other thing I'm going to do is go inside, and I have to go Shift 5 and turn off the taxi and landing lights, which got stowed with the landing gear. And then Shift 3, we're going to turn off the intercept. So landing gear is up, the yaw damper's on. It goes on when you turn the autopilot off. Intercept's off, flaps are up, landing gear. So that's done. So before landing, these are the steps we have to complete. So it's a pretty short checklist. I'm sure it's not a real world checklist, but for Microsoft Flight Sim, that's your checklist if you want to keep things simple. Alright, so there's other instruments over here which really aren't going to impact our flight here, so I'm not going to get into them. There is a little button here you can do to quiet the propeller down, but you can turn that on or off, but it should be off for landing. So if you turn it on, remember to turn it off. But I don't find it's an issue, the noise, so I just leave it the way it is. Okay, so once we're still climbing here. Once we got those things done, I usually like to increase my sim rate if everything's going well. And I go all the way up to 60. Now the thing you have to keep an eye on is going to be your fuel. Because your fuel, you won't have enough fuel to complete this flight. But by binding a key in your settings on your keyboard, you can add fuel in flight. They allow you to do that. And I'm going to press Shift F on my keyboard in order to add fuel when it gets low. When you get 50% down on your fuel, the co-pilot will give you one warning, and after that, you won't get another warning. So you only get it once. So I usually do it before when I get down to around 51% or somewhere around there. So our altitude looks good here. We're above the mountains, and we're flying in an easterly direction towards the rising sun. So I don't think we'll be arriving at night on this one. I think this is real weather in real time. So, and it's probably 4 or 5 hour flight. I'm going to check the exact time. Okay, so at this point, if you want, you can advance forward to, let's take a look at our flight back. You can advance forward to where we're doing the descent, and then you can miss out some of the in-between stuff, but if you want to stick with me through the whole thing, you can. The terrain is lovely to look at. It's well rendered even at sim rate 16, so you can still enjoy your flight. I'm going to take a look at the aircraft from the outside. Everything seems to be going well right now. Once again, I'm going to show you that approach right here. And you can scroll down and look at your altitudes. So we need to be at 3,000 and then 2,600 at this point right here. And if we look at little nav map, I think 2,600, let's see. Yeah, 2,600 where we would have to be for altitude to pick up the glide path. So let's go back to Microsoft Flight Sim and we can take a look outside at the aircraft. Beautifully rendered. Sometimes you can see the passengers inside. Yeah, I think you can see some people in there sitting in their seats. Yep, there's the guy right there. So I think we looked and saw we had 3 passengers on the flight. There's our co-pilot. And there's the terrain. So with a little nav map, you can actually see where you are. Yeah, there's the Great Lakes there. We'll be flying just south of the Great Lakes. And we're flying across U.S. entirely on this flight. So we would see if there was any weather. So if we start getting into some weather, like I can see some clouds up ahead here, it might start showing up. Okay, I'm going to go back to shift 2. Yeah, there's the weather. Okay, so I'm going to close that box if I can. Maybe I have to back off. I don't know. It doesn't seem to want to work when you're up too close to it. Alright, so we're going to be flying into some bad weather, maybe, and that'll give us extra credits for the flight. Have a look. We seem to be just above it for the time being. So keep the clients happy if the weather's not too bad. So there's the waypoints we're flying to there. And we are clipping along at a sim rate of 16 times the normal rate. So that's certainly going to shorten the length of this flight. And if you want to travel at normal, it can literally take you about 4 hours for this later. Maybe even longer when you do your ground speed, landing and tacking. So I'm keeping an eye on the fuel, barometric pressure. I'm just going to hit it. Let's see if it changes. Look right here in this area. So it just changed. You can see the 2.9 or 7. So that's important when you get near your approach for landing, to pick up the glide path, because if you aren't at the right altitude, it's not going to intercept it. So you want to make sure you're at the right altitude with the barometric pressure combined. And if you want to take a look at your progress, you can do it on your electronic flight bag by bringing it up. There we are right there. There's the weather we're flying to, or over. So I don't know if you get bonus points if you fly over the weather, or if it has to be at your altitude. We'll see. Anyway, I'm going to back off a bit here so we can have a good idea where we're at in our flight. See if I can make a nice smooth landing with this plane. The only time I have an issue with landing with this plane usually is if the weather's really bad and blowing hard, in which case I try and leave the autopilot on as long as I can before turning it off to land. So we're down to 63% on our fuel. So when we get into the low 50s, I am going to add fuel. As you can see, we're not even halfway, and we're getting down to half our fuel capacity. This is where we first descend at this waypoint right here, down to 8,400. So when I'm doing that, I'm going to slow the plane down using the auto throttle, and I might even lower the sim rate. You don't have to, as long as you keep your speed down. You can lower it to 8 if you want. When I get really close, I put it down to 4, 2, and normal for landing. Quite a ways to go yet. That's what the intercept's for. Keeping stuff from getting sucked into there and causing damage on landing and takeoff. And the pilots, of course, keeping them from freezing helps at higher altitudes because they would send false information to the flight management system otherwise. Well, we're coming up to ACE 1 waypoint, and we got some heavy clouds here. Pretty good. I checked the barometric pressure again. Just adjusted itself. There's our next waypoint we're flying to.
We're below
there
50% of tank.
So 50% of tank. There's your one warning you're going to get. So I'll add some fuel. So watch the fuel gauge here, right here, and you'll see it going up. So it's up to 71% now, and I'll hit it one more time to 95%. So there's your TRO PSI, your temperature, ITT temperature, your NG percentage, temperature here for oil, and PSI for oil. So everything looks good. So basically what I did is I just hit the different shift keys. Shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and back to this one. This is shift 2. So shift spacebar. Oops, something. So we may have enough fuel now to make it, and it's preferable not to land with a full tank of fuel because that's a heavier plane. You need a little more runway to stop, but our runway looks pretty darn good here. Let's go to little nav and take a look at our runway. We're landing on runway 3 on RNAV. So if you look at runway 3, you can see that it's lighted. So if we came at night, we'd be okay. And it's asphalt, and it's 3,490 by 72. So it's a pretty nice long runway for this aircraft. This aircraft has reverse thrust, so that's something that slows it down considerably on short runways. Okay, so let's go shift 6 here, and I'm going to go to manual, and I'm going to turn on the auto throttle by scrolling on this, and it'll go up to 240, I think, and that's about as high. So I'll do it one more time and you'll see what I mean. It just goes right back. But I'm going to turn it on. What I'm going to do is pull back my throttle now on my Thrustmaster throttle, and I'm going to turn it on auto throttle, and it should fly at that speed. We're looks like we're coming up some bad weather. So actually, I don't mind bad weather because you get extra credits. So let's see what our progress looks like. So we're flying at, our true airspeed is 272, and it's set for 240, which I set it when it's going around this speed right here. Alright, let's take a look at our progress. We're starting to get there. A little bit of bad weather. Not too far away now. So remember, at Bracky we have to be at 8,400. So we can actually set that right now if we want. If we're inside the aircraft, we set it to 8,400. Now if we look at little nav map, you can see that that's not going to be an issue, because we can go all the way down to 5,000 and still be clearing these, I guess you'd call them mountains or hills in Virginia or wherever it is. No. Yeah, Virginia's down this way, West Virginia, so Pennsylvania, line over there. Okay, so we are getting fairly close. So when I get to this waypoint is when I'm going to start descending. And we're coming up to this waypoint right here, and the next one will be Virad and then Bracky. And then these waypoints here we have to get down to 2,600. And didn't see. We're clipping right along, you can see here. And you can scroll in and scroll out with this little box here, just by holding your mouse on it. So it's not a bad idea to do that when you get close to the airport. Okay, let's start descending shortly. I'll go down to sim rate 8 when I start descending, just so everything's not happening too quickly. And I'm going to use FLC mode. It descends really nicely. Sometimes it will shut off when you're climbing, especially if you got it on manual. If you got it on MS, it usually works okay. So we're almost there. Zoom in, get a better look at how close we actually are. Okay, so I'll slow down to sim rate 8 right here, and I'll start descending. Take you outside so you can see. And I want to slow the plane down to, like, let's say 190 for descent. I don't want to go too fast. So it's a good idea to get outside and have a look, or look through the captain's chair so you realize you're okay for terrain. So there we are descending, and we're there already. So you want to hit your barometric pressure, because that will adjust it so you're at exact altitude of 8,400. And we are still quite a long ways off. We got 63% fuel, so we should be fine. So we got our checklist to go through when we get close to the airport for landing. You can scroll using your mouse here. Okay. We should be okay with this turn. It doesn't look too abrupt. It's not like we're coming in at this angle and having to turn around. So we're coming in at roughly 90 degrees, so to that line right there. So that should be okay. Okay, I'm going to increase the sim rate again, now that we're down to that altitude, just to speed things up. So we need to be at 3,000 for this waypoint right here. So I am going to press Shift 6. If you try and do that when you're on in the captain's seat view, it's bouncing around because of my sim rate. So as soon as you zoom in on stuff, it's not quite sim raised. So we need to go to 3,000. So I'm going to set this at 3,000 for this waypoint here. And there's top of descent right there, which we're coming up to. Let me just, yeah. Okay, I'm going to go outside. We should be okay going down to 3,000. Yeah, it looks like we will be. So I'm going to go down to 3,000. I'm going to slow the plane down to 8 again. Sim rate 8, and we're going to go down to 3,000 by hitting the FLC. And I'm going to slow the plane down some more, because I have to get below a certain speed to put down the flaps and the landing gear. There's your, you have to be below this speed and below this speed for your 15%. So we're down to 150 now. I'm going to slow things down some more and go Shift 6 again and slow it down even more, because we're going to slow it down to about 150 so I can get that landing gear down. Pretty soon we're going to have to contact the airport, see where we are here. We have to be at 2,600 to pick up that glide path. So we're going to hit 2,600 shortly. FLC. Let's just go outside and see what we've got. I can see where we are here on the compass. So I'm going to slow down. To normal sim rate. Now we hear that music. We know we're getting close. Now I can put down the landing gear. So I'm going to slow down to 140. I'm going to descend here. So we need to put that intercept on for landing. And let's just go outside and put down the landing gear. Okay, we're going to announce the final. And I'm going to put the flaps down.
Kilo Foxtrot, Whiskey November traffic. Robin 438, November Papa Victor 45 is on final. Runway tree to land. Kilo Foxtrot, Whiskey November.
Okay, so I'm going to hit the barometric pressure again to make sure I'm exactly at, see it just adjusted. You need be exactly at 2600. And I'm going to go shift 5 and put on the taxi lights and the landing lights. Okay, shift 3. So we've got the intercept on, landing gears down, taxi, landing lights, flaps are down, and I'll have to disconnect the autopilot just before landing. Okay, so let's go to the captain's seat, take a look at where we're headed here. And I'm not sure if we can pick up the approach yet. I think we're still out of ways. So shift 2. Yeah, I can zoom in here. That's where we pick it up right there. When we get to this waypoint. Let me see if I can get it to come on yet. It's not coming on, so I'm just going to leave it. You notice the nav went off there. I'll just leave it for till I get a little closer. I like to see it lock on and the light stay on. When I do hit that, you can see that the nav goes off and then it goes to green. See that? Which probably means it's following. Okay, but it just hasn't come on yet. I'll just leave it and see what happens. I'm going to turn the bank off now. Yeah, let's try it again. Oh, it's still on nav, so I'll just wait till I get a little closer. Sometimes it won't pick it up, believe it or not. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I'm just going to get the barometric pressure again to make sure I'm at the right altitude. Okay, we'll try it again. If you get a situation where it won't pick it up at all, then you're just going to have to take it off autopilot and land it manually. Looks like we're still heading towards runway 3 there, so. See if we can slow her down a bit. Try that again, but it will not. Come on. Let's have a look at see how we're doing here. Okay, we're getting very close to that runway. So I'm going to have to descend manually. So I'm going to go down to say 2000. And the runway is at 470, so I can go down to 1000. Safely. Be okay. Let's have a look here. See how we're doing. Ah, there's the runway up there. So I'm just going to have to take it off autopilot and land manually.
Autopilot.
The auto throttle's still on, but if I push the my throttle ahead a little bit and I pull it back, then it'll go off. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Just turned it off by putting my auto throttle on and on. Okay, so try and make a smooth landing here if I can. So this is what you have to do if you are not able to pick up your glide path. There we go. See if we can get stopped here. I got reverse thrust on. So that helps. Let's go outside, take a look at things. Okay, the plane's backing up because I had reverse thrust on. Bring up the flaps. I'm going to try and pull up and stop right here. Hold short. 0.2 nautical miles. So you got to be careful you don't go too far here or you get a penalty. You want that just to shut off so you can hit enter key on your keyboard. There we go. Hit enter.
Kilo Foxtrot, Whiskey November traffic. Robin 438, November Papa Victor 45 is taxiing to parking. Kilo Foxtrot, Whiskey November.
Okay, got to announce landing.
To all passengers, welcome to Sussex. Local time is 3:13 p.m. For your safety, we recommend that you remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until we come to a complete stop and the seatbelt sign is turned off. Please make sure you take all your belongings with you when you get off. On behalf of the entire company, we would like to thank you for choosing NAS Pro VIP. We look forward to seeing you again and wish you a pleasant stay in Wantage.
Okay, so normally if you follow all those steps on an RNAV approach, it will pick up the glide path and bring you down in descent. But there are occasions when it doesn't happen, and this was one of them. So it's just a matter of descending on your own, slowing it down using the auto throttle, and then taking off the autopilot and bringing it in for a landing. Let's see what the passengers have to say.
Great flight. I'll fly with this airline again.
Don, I put on your parking brake. I don't know what kind of score we're going to get. It's better than hearing them complain about the flight. So you can see the RPM slowing down here. So when it gets to 0, the plane will shut down, the flight will end. And that's when you get your score. Okay, mission success. And now we're going to see what kind of credits we get. Okay, so passenger satisfaction was only 68%. Even though they didn't complain about anything. Respect aircraft condition 99, maybe by landing. It's a little rough. Wow, look at the credits, the experience points. Credits will be about the same. Probably bad weather. Wow. Almost 5 million. Bad weather, we got 1.5 million. And for our reputation bonus, it's really hard to get this reputation bonus up because you get very little for a good flight, and then once you get higher up in your reputation, and then you get knocked back big time if you do the slightest little thing wrong. So, no skip. Got a nice bonus for that. So let's see what happens. See, look, he knocked us back. So once you get up into S for reputation update, it's really hard to keep it going there. You have to have these perfect flights, and even sometimes when they go really well, you still get knocked back. So maybe because it didn't do an RNAV approach, I don't know. But we were right on the right altitude for that. So if anyone's got a comment as to why that happens, let me know. Maybe I did a little something wrong, not sure. I've flown this plane, that PC-12 many times, and